All right, we are live. Welcome back to Your Gift podcast. I'm here again with Dave, and we got a new guest today, someone who's been a friend of mine for about 5 or 6 years. And in the last 5 or 6 years, I can't remember a time more than just a couple months in which you were not fostering a child. So I want to introduce Christi Braden Renfro, in case somebody sends her money. Christi Braden Renfro. So really what I wanted to do is talk to you because everybody has their own gifts and everybody has things that they can do to help out others. But not everybody has the heart in that they can take in a child and love them and treat them like their own. And since I've known you, you've had foster children in your home almost all the time, and you currently have a couple of children now. So I just talk to me a little bit about what got you into that and started down the avenue of fostering, and maybe tell us a little bit about the little boy and girl you got now.
Okay, probably 6 years ago, I started fostering. I want to adopt, and when you adopt through the system, they're very well taken care of after the adoption. They get free school and all kinds of stuff like that. But I just have always loved kids. I'm the youngest of 6, and I love family. And I currently have a set of twins that I picked up from the NICU unit. They were 3 and 4 pounds, and they're 9 months, and they are now 19 pounds and 16 pounds.
Wow.
So it's a handful.
Yeah, I remember when I saw you not too long ago in the store, and Steve said that the boy is like holding a turkey. So
he doesn't sit still, and he doesn't stop smiling. It's really, I was just telling Shelby Lynn this morning, I'm so blessed to have them right now in my life and here in our home, because it just brings a whole nother level of joy.
Now, how did you learn about them and the need that they were looking or needing of a foster?
For them, you get a call, and you're allowed to say yes or no. And 2 times prior to them, I got calls on 2 different sets of twins. And I said no, and then no. And then when I got this one, I was like, yes. And normally you get to know a little bit about the parents, and you kind of decide if it's a good fit. Like I've had users, parents I've had someone that was physically abused, but the actual hospital called DCS on the ones I have now. And from there, that's it. You know, there's a lot involved with that, with them seeing my calendar is totally full because you got doctor visits, you got PT visits. We're getting ready to start speech visits. We got bio visits twice a week. So fostering isn't just, you get sweet little kids in your home. I mean, you are raising these sweet kids.
How long have you been doing it?
Right now, I would at least say 6 years, if not more. And I just wrote down recently at church how many we've had, and we're almost at 20, probably.
Wow.
And it's just phenomenal. I mean, I'm going to wait for some questions, but I mean, I have a story that I took someone in. It wasn't a good fit for our home. My husband had cancer, and they she ended up going to someone in our church, got adopted, and recently just got told the little girl on their 1-year adoption that's actually her biological sister. She got another one, and didn't tell her until the baby, I think, was 10 months old. So those stories are worth it.
That's
and they
awesome.
all have red hair. The mom has red hair, and the kids that came into her home had red hair. I mean, that's pretty cool.
And she's a sweet little girl too.
She is. She's so feisty,
Yeah,
and she is so sweet. You two fought all the time.
It was funny. I always wanted to. She would always. I remember she had like a doll or something, and I kept on asking her for it. And then she finally came up and wanted to give it to me one time. I'm like, "Well, I don't want to take your doll, sweetie." But it was funny. What I don't understand, and what I don't know that I could handle, is how many times I've actually talked to Steve about this, how many times you've had kids in your home. And I said, well, what's going to happen with them? And he said, I don't know, maybe we'll adopt them. And it hasn't happened yet. So it's got to be painful. I mean, it's such a blessing to be able to do what you're doing, but that in a lot of cases, those kids go back to their biological parents or someone else. How do you have the heart to continue to do it? I mean, what gives you that strength?
I have explained fostering after I fell in love with the first two that came in the middle of the night. We only had them for 3 or 4 days, and we were hurt when they left. When they come into your home, you're automatically in love with them. I don't know. It just, you can't explain it. And the only way I explain it is it's the God kind of love. It is the closest thing to the God kind of love I can express. And when they leave, I will be honest, especially if we wanted to adopt them, I won't name names on here because it's just in case I'm friends with several of moms. And when one of them went back, it was like a death because I had her for 2 years from birth. And it took a long time. It's a grieving process, but it's worth it because like Christmas, the day before Christmas for these babies, lawyers got involved and they got a visit with their bios with a random person. This is just a true story right here, with a random person that they said was a relative. It wasn't a relative. It was a former stepson's brother. And I had to give those babies up to him and her to go visit with their parents for 4 hours. So I would have to say 100% God is my strength. And sometimes I fail in that and then cry a lot. But my family is a good support. So I hope I answered that, but I kind of gave you an example because only God could do it. Because if not, if your mind is in it, you would be crazy. You just got to refocus on, and that's what I told him. I got to refocus on these 2 babies.
I've talked to Steve, your husband, Steve, so keep on referring to him, that he he's not always as enthusiastic as you are about bringing the children in the home. But I always tease him, I'm like, well, she just can't bully you over. You have to have some. And I said, you're probably as important of the situation as you are, because he's giving you the ability throughout his career and everything like that to allow you to have the opportunity to do that.
Yes.
And he goes, I just did the best I could, but she's the one who does all the great work. But I want to at least point out that without him being able to be that support, there's no way you could have probably done it.
No, and with this time having 2, my daughter is helping with the little girl, and I do the little boy. Without her, I probably wouldn't be able to do the twins because you're making him sound so sweet and so kind and loving.
But we know the real Steve, though.
But he did not, and he still hasn't changed a diaper. I mean, we're going on 10 months now, so he always says to everybody, "Oh, I do all the work." He does not do all the work, and but he probably didn't even until he actually got the COVID, and I think that was like September-ish, October, and they were born in March. He hadn't even touched them or talked to them because he gets real resistant, and he's not a baby daddy, someone else's baby daddy. But now, like this morning and yesterday, the boy keeps going, "Dad, dad, 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 dad," and I keep going, "Mom, mom, 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 mom," and he's like, "Nope, say dad, 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 dad." And so now he is referring himself to daddy. And they, even when they come into the home, they don't need just the mommy and siblings. They need that father figure too. And he has fallen in love with them. So
now, over those 20 kids in the 6 years, what's the age range that you've fostered?
Good question. In case someone on here has always wanted to do this. I get to pick. when you go in to get your license, and I go through NIAP in Scottsburg, get a hold of me. I always say you need an advocate. I would never go through, and I don't care who sees this, DCS. I feel like you always need that advocate when something goes wrong, and there are several times things can go wrong. But let's see your question again, because I started thinking about, I just have to say this. My husband, we're wanting to move, and we're getting a loan. But from, let's see, the one that had a seizure, and I took her to the hospital, that had to be 3 years ago. On his side is a bill that went to collections for her, and the state pays for all that. So again, I don't know why I went there for that thought came, but it's like advocate. Yes, that's what it was. You just always need an advocate. And again, I already forgot your question.
No, I just asked about the age range because I know
Age
you've
range,
got NICU
yes.
babies now, but how old, have you had? And is there a
5
need that's heavier in one certain age range than others for
right
people that might
now.
be interested?
Right now, boy teens are a very high want right now. There's always babies, but you get to pick. When I signed up for my license, I'm sorry, that's where I was at. You get to pick your age range, and you get to pick whether you want a poop smearing child versus a normal child. I mean, they come with lots of, they may have trachs. I mean, you get to pick on this thing. So they won't even call you for teenagers, because I said no, because I have teenagers. But my next step.
We all have teenage boys, so we completely get that.
Yes. Will not have any teens in here, but I do want a teen mom that's pregnant next time, probably. I think I would love, I've heard so many stories of being able to help them because they've never seen a good mother figure, and to give them a shower and things they would never get, So that's an idea for me next, because we're pretty brokenhearted on babies right now,
You talk about an advocate. How do
Yes.
people find an advocate?
Don't go through DCS. You go through NIAP. There's also a new one in Scottsburg, and I mean, you could have to research it, but they just opened. Starts with a B. I can't think of it, but you get your license through someone else, and that's your advocate. Kind of like Christ is our advocate. That's just the way I describe it.
And what is NIAB? Is there a website people could visit, or
National Youth something program? Program. I don't know, but yes, if you look up NYAP in Scottsburg, it'll show up.
Okay. Does every community have a NIAP? And it sounds like Scottsburg has quite a bit of a need, but I assume all of Southern Indiana probably has similar needs.
There are so many kids. Yes. And there's a website, and again, I can't think of it right now, but it's probably the Indiana State or something, but you can go on there, and I want to say you don't have to be an actual foster person, but there are kids that need adopted. And I mean, it's kind of like you go shopping, and which is really sad, but there's something to think about. People may not ever know. I mean, there's kids that need adopted, and it would all be free, but they're older kids, and I'm not up for that right now. So
how do people financially support this program? Is there a nonprofit that folks can kind of to donate to, or is it all taxpayer funded for the most part?
Probably that. I know with me, like with the kids, it all comes from state. People always say, oh, people do it for the money. I've had parents say, you're just doing it for the money. Well, I spent 18,000 miles getting breast milk for one of mine in 2 years. They could never repay me for that, because I only got $20 a day. So diapers are more expensive. And I mean, you cannot financially, unless you got 12 kids, go ahead of time.
Wow.
But I don't know how it's funded. I would say there probably are ways to fund some of the stuff. Just like for Christmas, it was amazing. We usually have a big party, food at a church in Memphis. If somebody's texting me and I have no idea who it is, do you still have the twins? Funny. Yes, I do. But this year, what they did, they brought us groceries because of the COVID, and both kids get $100 to spend at Walmart. And then we got, of course, $240. We get 2 of everything. 2 $40 gift cards from Kroger, JC's, whatever. So especially during holidays, that is funded by people.
What
And I'm sure there's a way to.
I mean, can we call out? Can we go ahead and call out that church? You mentioned the one in Memphis, but I wasn't sure if we could actually tell the folks what they're doing, so that maybe next year people
Yes,
understand
yes.
that that's part of what their mission is.
Memphis Christian Church. Pastor Dave, he's from Scottsburg, and he's amazing. His church, I think, is the one that fund the food. And then there's one in Scottsburg, and I apologize, I do not know, but I think they are the ones that try to get all the kids. It is not an angel tree, but that's the way I describe it. It's like an angel tree. You get to pick a child, and they always get a Bible. Someone funds the Bible. I would say, I have a feeling it's First Christian Church, but I may be wrong. So
do you get a lot of support from? I know the church that you belong to and everything. Do you get a lot of support from the churches, or is this basically something that you're doing on your own and because this is what you choose to do, and you're not looking for the support? I mean, I'm not sure.
no, but when I do need support, my sister Debbie, I can easily put on Facebook. She does it because some people are just anointed to help. She'll put on Facebook, like when I first wanted these twins, I needed a bed, but I didn't want to tell Steve yet. I wanted to get kids again. So I had her put it on Facebook. Sorry, Steve. And believe it or not, 2 days before I got the twins, 2 beds came. And I got the call and the babies came. So it just all works out. But I will have to say, there's Eats and Feeds. Not that I like my babies to have breast milk donated. So Eats and Feeds, there's donated breast milk on there. And then there is an actual foster to adopt Indiana on Facebook. Facebook is amazing. And so you go on there, and if you have a need, you write on, like right now, I have a couple of needs, but you just don't want to ask people. So, but you would put on there, hey, I'd like to have 2 car seats. Does anybody have car seats? Because they're getting ready to switch over to the big daddies, because he's a turkey, he's huge. And she is so petite, and she's so different. And she's quiet and observant, and she just looks around, and he's just like, he's full on, but he needs a big seat.
So
for people out there that have considered adoption, do you see fostering as a nice way to kind of test the water, or is it totally?
Absolutely. One, it is free. That's why when I did this, I was at the fair in Scottsburg working in a funnel cake booth, and I just wanted to adopt a baby. I wanted to have another baby in the home. And when I found out it was like $20,000-$30,000, I financially didn't have that. And right there at the fair, someone said, hey, would you like to adopt? This is how you can. And it was through NIAP. So anyway, yeah, I would absolutely test the waters, because you got to find out if it's a fit for you to take on a whole nother child and a whole nother personality, a whole nother being in your home, especially if you get them older, because I had one and I knew for a fact she had to be autistic, and they wouldn't test her. But after she went back home, she was diagnosed autistic. And there was times where I would have to hold her so tight because she would be throwing these fits that are, at the time, was uncontrollable. So they're it's tough, but it's rewarding when they say, love you, mommy, because they automatically start calling you mommy and daddy.
How many of your prior fosters would you say still kind of reach out and you'll have some type of relationship with?
Well, the one I had for 2 years, her mama just had another baby 3 months ago, and she had a baby a year after the one I had was born. So I actually got to watch those 2 3 months ago for 6 days while mama, was okay and got situated and was in the hospital. And so that's one. There's another one, the one I was talking about that was diagnosed. We're trying, but during the COVID, it's been really tough. So I would say 3 because I've only had 3 full time. All the other ones were like 2 months, 4 months, 6 months, you know.
What's the average, you think? What's the normal time that they're with you?
If they start out as babies, it seems like year to 2 years. If they go back home. And then for me, that's what's happened. I'm believing God's going to double bless me and with 2. But at least I'm helping because he actually coded 2 days before I picked him up from the hospital, this one I have right now. And I believe I have been able to help keep him alive because he had a lot of little issues at the beginning. So if I have to look at something positive, I'll look at that he's alive.
How many of your fosters have gone back to their original home or original family, at least in some relation, versus someone else adopting them?
All of mine that I'm in touch with have all went home. One I talked about earlier, she her grandma moved all the way from Michigan, stopped everything to come home and live with the son. The mom's not in the life anymore, so I'm really happy that she's in a very good place. So she did get a grandma and a dad. So
Awesome.
Recently, when we first started this, I think we actually built the website and started this process on Thanksgiving because it was just
I watched it.
Yeah, and then the initial one, we talked about you actually fostering these 2 babies, and you reached out to me and said that it had helped because you were questioning whether or not you were actually being.
You gonna make me cry? Quit it.
No, but you were talking about how you weren't sure that you were making a difference, and it's unbelievable the difference that you're making in these 2 babies, but it inspires other people. It does do that, and you understand. And I think that, but it sometimes you have to be reminded. But how often is that a challenge for you, where you just like, I'm just not sure if I'm making a difference right now? Is it something that that you have to battle with often, or do you catch the faith to realize how much of a difference you're truly making?
I would have to be honest and say there's a lot of times I don't feel like I'm making a difference in them until I see another foster family and I see the difference that they're making, because I feel like this is just the way I live. Kind of like the day you wake up, you go to work. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's like, this is like a job, but I'm living a day about 24 hours a day. And it's tough. I'll be honest, yesterday was New Year's Eve, and I just want to get out of the house. I wanted to go get a printer at Best Buy. They had none. But what I didn't know, I saw a woman wanting to get a watch. And no offense to this guy at Best Buy, he was not getting what she was saying. And so I interrupted. I said, where are the watches? They're not right here. I understand that. Where are they? She wants to see the watches that are on sale. So then by the time she got what she wanted, she goes, thank you. I'm so glad that you know, she thanked me. We got up to the counter. I saw the guy came up with her watch and set it there. And she came back the wrong way. And I said, ma'am, your watch is right here. She goes, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And she said, oh my goodness, your baby. I said, he's a twin and I foster. And she said, you are an amazing woman. Of course, I don't want to hear, no one wants to know, but it said, you're an amazing woman. She said, I had a foster mom once. This woman was probably in her 50s or 60s. And she goes, thank you. And that just meant the world to me to see someone that old. And I hope God, I don't mean that disrespectful, older. But she was very exquisite. And it just made me realize that in the future, we'll probably see the fruit to some of it. I may not see it now. But like the one little girl that got adopted from my church, she'll stare at me at church a lot of times, and she'll be in praise and worship, and I'll look over there. And so she still looks at me, and she still sees something in me. And that means a lot to me because I still love her.
Well, I think, the way that I would look at that, and not to say that this is how you should look at it, but that child would not be in that home with that family who is loving and taking care of her without what you did. it just wouldn't happen.
Mm-mm.
You made a difference in her life that's undeniable, that where she's going to be able to go, because I know both the family and the girl, and so what you were able to do was allow them to come together.
Yes.
You were that avenue that brought them together, and regardless if you get blessed with the two or not,
Right.
the difference that you're making, like you mentioned a second ago, of being able to keep them alive, or keep him alive, because the turkey. I still think it's hilarious. He goes, like,
Wait, I'm gonna make you hold him next time.
But before we get off here, because I think we don't want to try to drag these out too long, but do you have any stories that you want to tell, that maybe that would hopefully inspire some others to want to do what you're doing, and maybe they have that calling inside them and they just have to be pushed that little extra couple steps?
I try not to tell people I'm fostering these twins, because I want them to, I just feel like that it's I don't know. I'm not trying to brag on me. I just want people to know there is such a need. And that's why I tell people, I thought about it. If anybody has ever thought about it, it will not hurt you to go interview at NIAP just to see it, talk about it. That's what I did. And because I was like, is it for me? This is a huge thing. But I always feel like if you have it down in your inner person, like I did, you have got to do it, because I've even had a family member. I had to go to Henryville at a campsite and go get one of my own flesh and blood family, great nephews. And if I helped him for a while, for a season, until he went somewhere else, I did. And there was another child that I had, and this is just a few examples. He had scars on his head. He had skull fractures. And I would just hate to think that he lived in that circumstance for so long. So I would say, even if you want to help people, it could just be a season. It could be 5 years. It could be, I always did this at Christian Academy when my kids went there, because it's so expensive. We're going to take it 1 year at a time. So I say with fostering, take it one kid at a time. And know that, be in agreement, everybody in the home, even though my husband says he's never in agreement, because he's a turd. I will say he is in agreement, and my whole family is. And I've brought him home. I have brought the first baby home, not telling nobody. Yes, I did. I'll be honest. But she changed our life forever. And she still continues to. We have pictures of her all around the house, on the refrigerator, and we love the whole family now. It's not just her. It's like we love the family. So just look at it that you're helping people. And I did get in it to adopt, but God said I had bigger plans. I want you to restore families. And that's tough, because you want your family to get bigger. But when you help restore other families, it's pretty cool.
That's awesome. It was really nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you too.
Amazing stories, and you've changed countless lives, and I'm sure you don't even realize how big and broad that gets. And
I love talking about it with people, especially give Christi Renfro on Facebook. Message me if you have any other questions. I'd love to answer them. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Well, thank you again, and of course we'll be talking soon, because talk to your husband all the time, and
Yes, ma'am.
See you all there, and that's all right, sir. But if anybody wants to reach out to us, you can go to YourGift.Life website. That's a .life extension. So somebody asked me that the other day. It is the website is YourGift.Life, but you can find us on Instagram and Twitter. Or actually Instagram and Facebook at YourGift.Life or YourGift.org. Or reach out to us via email. It's yourgiftorg@gmail.com. But Christi, thank you for joining today. I really appreciate it.
I love what you guys are doing.
Stories are amazing. Even though I hear a lot of them that that I know that you are nervous to telling sometimes because you don't want to get into the personal situations and things like that. But I know how amazing you are with what you're doing. So I definitely appreciate it. And I hope this inspires anybody that wants to get into fostering to do that as well.
Thank you. I appreciate it, guys.
All right. Thanks.
See ya.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.